What's up, guys? It's your boy Mizzy. I'm here today to break down the Oregon and Texas Tech game, man. This one right here is kicking off the new year. Like I said, it's a noon kickoff early game. Hopefully, everybody at home able to catch it. It's a very interesting game. Like I said, man, I was looking up the stats on it, trying to see, like I said, what it's gonna be looking like. But man, we got, like I said, Oregon versus Texas Tech, Orange Bowl. You know, Texas Tech and Oregon, both of their schedules haven't been the toughest. Oregon, you would say it was tougher because they did play Indiana. So, like I say, that's a game they lost. So, like I say, man, Texas Tech, they lost when they had their backup quarterback in. And I watched more Oregon games than I watched Texas Tech games this year. I will admit. So, I watched a few Texas Tech games, but not, like I say, maybe three of them, and one of them was the game with the backup QB. So, like I said, just take that for account. But anyways, this game is practically a pick 'em. Oregon is favored by 1.5 points. So, like I said, it's a pick 'em game. Texas Tech schedule, you know, it just makes you question because being in the Big 12, if you look at Texas Tech defensive stats, they are very impressive. But like I said, playing in a Big 12 schedule, you just don't know, like, how good are they really? This game is really big. Like, if Texas Tech can come out and beat Oregon and, you know, really show their dominance, it'll prove, like, okay, their defense is for real. But like I said, we got to see it. Because I've seen teams before have impressive defensive stats and play a team. And, you know, like I said, they played a weak schedule. I remember, was it 2013 when Notre Dame and Alabama played in the championship when Manti Te'o, you know, had the fake girlfriend and all that. I remember that year, Notre Dame might have been top 5 in every defensive category. And when they played that Alabama team, man, Alabama just walked up and down the field. Like I said, they just did whatever they want. Run the ball, throw the ball, whatever they wanted to do. It was a blowout. But their statistics for the year looked great. But you was playing nobodies. You were playing tomato cans. So, like I say, of course you look great. So, like I said, we'll see this. We'll see this game how good Texas Tech really is. But like I said, man, it comes down. Can Texas Tech confuse Dante Moore? Cause like I say, this is what his 14th start of the year. So he's seen some defenses. He's seen more through the year, learned more. The Indiana loss, like I said, we'll see how he goes. JMU, he did have 2 interceptions. I don't know if that was just the competition. He really wanted to. He wasn't worried about losing. Was he not as sharp? Like, what was it? And like I say, they did have a warm-up game. You always got to consider the team coming off a bye. How would they come out? Would they come out quick, fast, or would they come out slow and sluggish? So you always got to think about that. But like I said, man, Oregon, man, they have a lot of weapons on this team. I don't know if they have a number one receiver as far as like a Jeremiah Smith or a Bernard, you know, just a dominant receiver, but they have a lot of guys that get the job done. So like I said, man, they're a tough cover. If, like I said, this Texas Tech team has their work cut out for them because, like I said, this Oregon team is a tough cover, and you know, I think Oregon will win just because this Oregon team, they score in bunches. Once they start getting rolling, it can be a quarter that they say if it comes out first half at halftime it's 14-14 in the third quarter. In one quarter, this Oregon team can run off 21 points just like that. And before you know it, you're trying to catch up because, like I said, they have a lot of speed. Everybody know Oregon always prioritizes speed. So they have a lot of speed on the field. Like I say, and on defense, they have a lot of speed. So, like I said, Texas Tech has got their work cut out for them. Like I say, it is a pick'em game, but in my opinion, I just like Oregon better this game. Like I said, Texas Tech is gonna have to prove it to me. They're gonna have to prove that like I said, that they really was the a top team this year, and it wasn't just because they was in the Big 12. It's because they was a great team. And then, like I said, Oregon, they're number one in 20-plus yard plays this year. Number one, they had 91 plays, so that just means when they are big play hunting every play. And that means your defensive scheme got to be on point, your cornerbacks, your safeties. Everybody has to be on point because this team at any moment they like I said, they're attacking. And then, like I said, this Oregon team, they will run the ball. They have a plethora of running backs that will run the ball. As once they start running the ball, that's one of the keys of this game. Can Texas Tech shut down that Oregon run game? Because if they, like I said, if they can't, then you have Dante Moore playing off play action, bringing those linebackers up, throwing over their heads. And like I said, a young quarterback, that's his strength, is getting a run game early and getting him more comfortable into the game. Because like I said, the first game he played versus James Madison, so that was already getting him comfortable in the playoffs, not playing a tough opponent early. So like I said, man, this game, I just like Oregon. Like I said, I like Oregon 34-31. I think it will be a more of a high-scoring game, a closer game, just because I think Oregon defense is good, but I don't know how good. I think Texas Tech will have a couple of explosive run plays because Texas Tech do want to run the ball. Now, if Texas Tech can control the run game, play their game, and like I said, I don't know if they, like I said, if this game gets into the 40s, that leans to me more towards Oregon. If it gets towards that, because like I said, if I think Texas Tech want to win this game, they should keep Oregon somewhere around 24, somewhere around that range. Because like I said, you don't want to get Oregon all of a sudden it's a shootout. Because they're comfortable playing that game. Like I said, they're more than comfortable playing that game. And like I said, I think Tech is good. But like I said, this Oregon team scores in bunches. And they have a lot of weapons. So, like I said, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But like I say, man, with Texas Tech, will they be able to run the ball? Will they be able to confuse Dante Moore? We'll see how it goes. But, like I said, it's a tough game. Because, like I said, you got to have the players. And Texas Tech, I just don't know. Because Oregon has 4 and 5 stars all up and down the roster. And that's not always the end-all, be-all. But like I said, when it comes to talent, Oregon talent gap is like I said, it just is farther. Like I say, I see Oregon losing to a team that's more physical than them. And like I said, I know Texas Tech have all the defensive stats, but can Texas Tech bully Oregon and really impose their will on them? If so, Texas Tech can pull it out. But like I said, I got Oregon 34-31. We'll see how it goes they guys. But anyways, guys, like I said, man, it should be a good game. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I appreciate everybody. Catch you next time.